Okay, so in part two here, we're going to look at the sample, and the student used her running head and page number, but I left off her name and all. That's fine. So the literature review. As you go through and read this sample, you'll notice that she provides an introduction to the literature review so that the reader knows how the review will be arranged. This may be your first time ever using headings in in an essay. We do that in some classes, but not in others. That's entirely up to the instructor or the field that you're in. Business writing, education papers, science papers, they often have headings. So this will be your introduction to that, since we didn't have our original writing assignment 3 that would have introduced this. So you'll have an activity using headings. But she's telling us all articles examined will include subjects relating to health and cost-effective solutions for providing care. So she kind of tells us how she's going to organize this. Now here's her first heading, physical health. Okay? The headings sort of tell us how you have organized your findings. So all of her sources that have to do with physical health, she dealt with under this heading. And then scrolling on down, her next heading is mental health. She put all her mental health sources together. And then she has seeking cost-effective solutions. So that was her third heading. And she organized all her sources about cost-effective, and I think maybe she just had one. Yeah, any sources she would have about cost-effective solutions would go in this section. So part of what a literature review does, it reviews the materials you have found for the reader and explains what other people have found, what studies are saying, in your case, what other solutions have been found. And then the majority of the rest of the paper after your literature review will be what is your solution to the problem. So she's given you all of these solutions that she's found as she did her research in this literature review. And then when you go to look at her sample of the entire essay, you'll see that after she's finished with her literature review section, then she goes on to talk about what her suggested solution is. And she might revisit some of these sources, and that's fine. Just because you have a lit review doesn't mean you can never come back and talk about this particular source again. But this is where she's giving you an overview of all the research that's out there on her topic. All right, that's what a literature review does. It does it in essay format. It organizes by topic. So you need to, as you get your articles together, start putting them in folders or designating them by topic. And sometimes they might go in more than one category, and that's fine too. But you're going to be organizing your literature review by topic. And what you're looking for are solutions that have already been tried elsewhere. That's the point. So the rest of the essay is going to explain what you think should be done. And what you think should be done may be based on some of the material that you found in your lit review. But this is a way for your reader to see all the research that's out there. All right? So she has her physical health heading. And the first source she comes to is this one by Waldron and Deeser. See, she has her date here. And she even... well, this one she did incorrectly in terms of capitalization. But there's her article, and she talks about it. And you'll notice as you go through, and I've got 3 notes for here, student introduces sources, includes the date per APA format. She introduced these 2 authors who wrote this article in 2010, right? She included that because that's what APA asked for. Here's ones that she did correctly. I'll go back in and make a correction to that so you won't see it on the final draft of this, even though it's here in the video. Here's a title formatted correctly in the body of the essay. Remember, in APA, article titles in the body of the essay are all capitalized like we did with MLA, but in the reference page itself, it's different. Why? I don't know. That's just APA. But so I make a comment on that. Make sure that you pay attention to how titles are supposed to be formatted. And most of the time with these sources, you are summarizing. So you're not going to be providing page numbers. I think she has one page number that she's referencing this whole thing where she's talking about something specific somebody said. But for the most part, you're summarizing these articles that you found. That's sort of the point of what you're doing with this lit review. So you won't really need the page numbers. No quoting, right? This is all paraphrased. So she goes through each of her sources. Most of them are one source to a paragraph, but sometimes she has two sources to a paragraph. That's fine. It doesn't matter as long as it's organized in a way that makes sense. So once she's finished with her section on physical health, she moves on to mental health. And she does have a nice topic sentence. Physical health is clearly linked to one's mental status. All right, nice transition there. But what's nice about the headings themselves is they do serve as sort of a transition between one section and the next. So now she talks about all the solutions she's found, and has all the APA stuff is all correct throughout. She introduces the sources. This is all done just the way it's supposed to be done. And here's the one that has a page number for it, right? So I did make a note to say she did include a page number here because she cited a specific point. And this should be in italics because she's referencing a book. All right, so don't think she's made an error here. She's referencing a book title, so it should be in italics. We don't have to include our reference page for this lit review, so you won't have her references at the end. And then her last one. She does not have a formal conclusion. This is her last paragraph of solutions. She could have, if she wanted to, came down here and had a formal conclusion for the lit review, like she had a formal, sorry, I have to scroll, I can't go up the side on this screen. At the very beginning, she had an introduction, and that's really important, but you don't necessarily need a formal conclusion to your lit review. So this is what your practice lit review should be like. The closer it is to being done and being perfect, the less work you'll have to do on the lit review section of your project itself. You can just cut and paste that in, making whatever small changes I've suggested to you. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, this is what you should be doing.